All right. All right. All right. Welcome to Seattle Sports Weekly. I'm Mazvita Maraire, movement of your people. It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. And we're back. Well, had to cover the NFL draft, and that is an all-consuming kind of event. So, got plenty of stuff for you today. And what we're really gonna do is go into. You're gonna hear from the players, some coaches, from not only the Seahawks but the Kraken. Don't forget, they got game 2 today. So we've got Dave Hextall talking about what happened and about this morning's skate. So to catch you up, the Kraken, they did away with the Colorado Avalanche, the defending Stanley Cup champions. That had never happened before. That is not that the defending Stanley Cup champions have never lost in the first round, but have never been beaten. No expansion team in their second year franchise has vanquished, did away, rebuked the defending champions in the first round. So there's a thrilling 7-game series. In fact, when we get a moment and the second part, I'm going to play you the game 7 winner. It was overtime win. So we're going to do that. And we got a new format we're trying to really roll with you. And just going to be doing a lot of the audio, video, because we're there. So why not give you the inside stuff? So why that way you can say, well, why do I want to listen? Why do I want to go there? Why do I want to watch this? Why do I want to go up to CascadiaSports.net and read all that stuff? It's because we give you all the information, the insider stuff, because we're there. We're not just looking at some website and regurgitating that information. So there you go. A little plug for Seattle Sports Weekly here on Rainier Avenue Radio World and also CascadiaSports.net. Yeah, and go to the YouTube, click, like us. So, where do we start? All right, we will do the draft. So the Seahawks had 10 picks going in. Surprise, surprise, they had 10 picks when the draft ended. So, who did the Seahawks draft and kind of why, and does it make sense? And most of it was one of those draft classes that you kind of, at the end when it's done, you're like, okay, the impression I'm getting from a lot of people, and I'll give you my opinion in a moment, is that people are warming up to the draft. And that's a good thing. The reason why it's a good thing is because the Seahawks went into this draft with a pretty good idea of what they needed, and they stuck to that plan. And in all fairness, Don Schneider said on day 2 when we went to VMAC, he said, "Hey, they did try to make a couple deals for certain players, but you got to understand how the draft works." So I'll lead you up to the draft. Normally what happens is obviously kids are playing in college and whatnot, and scouts are out. Each of the Seahawks, any NFL scout, they have a certain area that is their area to scout. The college, and I learned this from John Schneider and the rest, was really also their the NFL team. So everything about that. So if I'm the scout for, let's say, Washington State and Oregon, my responsibilities not only is to keep track of all the players, obviously, keep track of the players via their college teams, right? Oregon State, Washington State. So, and within that, you drill down, and it's really learning about those teams. Who do they have? Well, everybody already knows that Michael Penix, as an example, right? Heisman Trophy candidate. So you're already looking into me, Mazvita, the scout, already is aware of that. I'm also aware of anybody that's leaving for the Huskies. That's how intricate in terms of a scout. Who are the players that are coming in? Who are the players that are leaving? Potential draft picks. And how's the team doing? And this is going on all year, right? Obviously, the crescendo is when they are playing, right? That's where you get the tape as a scout. That's when you find out the game tape and you look at that. All right, so you have that. Me, area scout, Washington, Oregon. So I have that. And then in the end, I'm compiling that tape. Well, when it's all said and done, when we meet, when I go back to Seahawks headquarters, let's say, as a scout, what happens is there's the numbers. I take that to the coach, assistant coach, the head coach. They look at the numbers. They take a look at, okay, physicality, mental toughness, all of those things. Okay, great. Now comes the NFL Combine. Well, at the NFL Combine, that is where all the players go, obviously, most of them, and they get measured. You have some thoughts about, it's basically a meat market. It's unfortunate, but you know what? It's part of the business, right? And then each of the teams are allowed certain amount of time with each of the player interviews. Now, it's an interesting gamesmanship when it comes to the combine. Everybody gets the numbers. Great. Now, part of it is you'll talk to some players that you're highly interested in, and there's some that you say, okay, we know all about that player. We don't necessarily need to talk to them because after the draft, you're allowed 30 visits, NFL teams are, and then they allowed players that within the area. So that's again is where the gamesmanship comes in, right? Like the player. Okay, we don't want everybody else to know we're highly interested in them. John Schneider talked about this, and he said about their Kenny McIntosh, if you will, and Anthony Bradford. McIntosh, we're going to hear from him round 7. I'm going to a few more of the players, but it's like, you know what? Once we knew we wanted them, we try to keep it quiet. Which is actually also about round 5 pick, Mike Oluwatimi, the center. He's like, well, nobody really knew, even though he was all Big Ten 2 years in a row. But once the players started taking visits, like, uh-oh, right? So you have a player you like, you go to combine, you do the visit there, you get done, and then there's a period up to the draft where the players now visit. Now, the area scout, I'm watching that player from the UW, right? Going back to that analogy. So if at first we like him, Seahawks, and then he starts taking a lot of visits, that's a red flag to say, well, I should say yellow. That's a warning sign to say a lot of teams are high on this guy. He could go earlier than we think. So let's be ready. So being ready does that mean that we move him up in terms of the other players we had? Because remember, this cycle is going on with every player that you want to draft. So there's that one player we thought, hey, we got to get Devon Witherspoon, right, as an example, right? The cornerback. That was Seahawks' first round draft pick. All right. He's taken a lot of visits. But Derek Reed, let's say, their 6th round pick, safety from New Mexico. Well, he hasn't taken a lot. These are all hypothetical examples, if you will. He hasn't taken a lot of visits. Okay, he's taken some. But you know what? Whoa. Jackson Smith in Jigba, the wide receiver from Ohio State, is taking a lot of visits. A lot of players, a lot of teams look like they want this, and we really want him. You know what? We were looking to get him in the 4th round. Let's move him up. Let's make him a priority because we're probably not going to get him in the 4th round. Or so you move him up. Then it becomes the GM now, John Schneider and Pete. Now they're working their other GMs. And Schneider was talking about this. There's some GMs that he knows. And I think we played this a couple of weeks ago when he said, what happens is you start kind of those GMs, and coaches. So then Schneider would make that call. Hey, just a thought over there. GM X from team whatnot. Hey, just what's the likelihood that you're ahead of us? That we could make a deal with you regarding a certain player in Jigba. Well, now they're not all going to play their cards. You're playing poker here a little bit, right? You got those hands. Well, sure, give me a call. Says that manager or the GM from Team X. Yeah, give me a call. We can discuss a little bit when the time comes. And this is all moving parts, right? Because that team from team manager, team whatnot, he's going to say, yeah, it's a he because there's no, he's going to go ahead because he's got other players that he's playing that deal with. So that's all the gamesmanship that happens before the draft and then during the draft. You've heard kind of the analogy trying to change a tire in a moving car. Kind of sort of that way. If you can think that's how that works. It's intense. And so I know all of y'all saw some of the draft room, from ESPN and, NFL Network, and you saw, there were like 10 people. And what was in the middle there, obviously the front table is going to be Pete Carroll, is going to be John Schneider. And that's replicated everywhere, right? But they have their draft board, like they always say. You hear about that. And it's always kind of continually moving, and they're working the phones. So that gets you to draft day. So here is, this is going to talk all day without telling you who they got and you hearing from that. So I'm going to go over the picks and give you my probability of whether they, where do they fit in? Do they have a chance to start? The first one, Devon Witherspoon, cornerback from Illinois. Going in, people weren't sure that the Seahawks would pick a cornerback because obviously the need everybody talked about was, hey, they need a defensive lineman, right? They need that nose tackle. What John Schneider and Pete Carroll said was this was the best player available. And so, it makes sense. And I think this was a good pick in terms of, what you now have in Witherspoon. It really makes the back end of your defense that much better, right? Because Witherspoon will come in as a left cornerback. On the right cornerback, you have Tariq Woolen. So now you look at shutdown corners in Woolen and Witherspoon, and you add, obviously, Quandre Diggs and Kobe Bryant as your nickel. I'm purposely waiting here to say whether Jamal Adams is your strong safety. He's still rehabbing. But now what you've got a fortified back end. Your rear guard on the defense is as solid as it can be. And also the Seahawks picked up Julian Love. Remember, as a free agent. And their next pick was Jackson Smith-Njigba. A brilliant pick here from Ohio State. Absolutely a brilliant pick. Why is that? Because the Seahawks only really have had two wide receivers. And those two have always been like the gap between DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and then the third wide receiver has always been just a huge issue there. And it matters because on third down, right, Tyler's in the slot and DK can run, a dig route or he can run a goal route. And so he's going to spread that defense. Tyler Lockett can do, an immediate route, but you needed somebody else to stretch that defense because most of the time the defenses either play, a cover 2, and that would take care of him. Or they might even go man to man, right? So you put somebody on DK, you put somebody on Lockett, which is hard to, we've seen that, which is difficult. But it's a gamble you can play on the defense if you're playing the Seahawks because you didn't have that third receiver that you could just put a linebacker. Now, with Najigba, you got to get a cornerback or somebody. You can't put a linebacker on there. That's just not going to happen anymore. He's too good. And then so that was the end of day 1. Day 2, the Seahawks went with Derek Hall. In fact, let me do this. D-Money, why don't we listen? Can we play the Devon Witherspoon audio before I go to day 2? So this is Devon Witherspoon audio with the media. So we're taking you inside.
Hey, we've got some members of our local media here to speak with you.
Yes, sir. Devin, congrats. Just what was it like in that call from John Schneider?
It was shocking, it kind of came a little late, but it was just, I feel a lot of emotion right now. I'm just very happy and excited. I'm just ready to come to work, be a Seahawks, baby.
Certainly, the history of defense, particularly corners and DBs in this system. Why do you believe you're a good fit here in Seattle?
Just because they told me, the culture that they had there, at least the boom, man, the history there is just, I know what it takes to be great like that in this. It's so much going on right now, I can't even really describe it, but I'm just glad that he chose me. I'm just glad I'm be a Seattle Seahawks.
Can you describe yourself as a player, Devin?
Me, I'll probably say I'm energetic, physical, dog on the field. I'm just very confident in what I do, passionate, and I just love to show my emotions out there on the field. So that describes me.
Devin, you came out here for a visit. What was it like meeting with the coaches and being able to take in the culture here?
Man, it was dope, man. The view out there, the facility, just the guys, just everything about Washington. It was really dope. Because I had my best visit there, so I'm just very happy. I'm excited.
Did Pete have you shooting hoops when you were out here?
Oh yeah, I shot a couple hoops.
Who won? You or Pete?
Oh no, I ain't get to shoot against the Coach Carroll like that, so I ain't get a chance to shoot against him, but I had made a couple.
Were you surprised at all to go this high, or were you confident this was about where you'd go? Or
I'm confident. I was confident I was gonna go pretty high. I ain't know it was gonna be to Seattle, but I'm glad that it is. I'm glad that it is.
what are your thoughts on playing across from Tariq Woolen, who was one of the Rookie of the Year finalists last year?
I'm excited, to be across from that guy, man. He's a ball hog. He's a very talented player. I actually got a chance to play against him in college, so I know what he brings to the table, man. I'm just ready to go out there and compete with him. Just go out there and be a great duo out there on the field. So.
Devin, did you stay on one side or did you move around?
I kind of travel. So I travel to the best receiver. So
You've been called a complete corner, perhaps the most complete one in the draft. But what do you still think you have to work on?
The transition to the league, just eye discipline, just how physical I can be within, after the 5 yards, just did a lot of things change, a lot of rules change when you get to the league. So,
Devin, I've heard you described as a cornerback who hits like a linebacker. Where does that physical play come from?
That's just always been me, man. I think you got to want to tackle. This game is about tackling, defending the run, just it's everything. So, really, that's just always been me. I've always been confident. I've kind of been on the sides all my life, so tackling is what I do.
You're from the same hometown as Seahawk Doug Baldwin. You ever any contact with him?
I haven't got a chance to contact him, but one of my close friends, Rondell Wiegand, that's his uncle. So I kind of got a logistics of how he is.
Anything else, guys?
All right. There you heard it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron Witherspoon, speaking with the media. So that gives you kind of insight. That's what happens when we're there. We're up there at the VMAC, and then it's actually quite nice. We're up there in their defensive team room, sitting the tables. But what my point here is that once they draft the player, then they will do an audio call so that we, the media, you heard it. So I wasn't going to edit that stuff. Just going to really give it to you in terms of you can hear what happens as it happens, raw. And that's what we do. We just ask, the various questions with him, and we kind of go from there. Then, as I said, the Seahawks round the second pick in the first round was Jackson Smith-Njigba, and as I said, I think this guy is not only going to learn his wide receiver at Ohio State, but he is really, really going to make this offense click. And what they'll do with him is they'll be able to run some of the jet sweep. And as I mentioned on third down, he'll give you that 10-7 crossing route. But look, he can get down the field. He absolutely can get down the field. And I want to go back to Witherspoon in terms of he was the runner-up for the best defensive player in college last year, but he was a two-time All-American in Illinois. So, one of the patterns that you will see with the Seahawks here is they really drafted players from the Power Five, right? Illinois, we're talking about Jigma at Ohio State, and Auburn, we're talking about Derek Hall. So let's see if do we have the Smith and the Jigba audio there.
Jackson, are you there?
Yeah.
Jackson, what was it like to get that call from Pete and from John?
It was awesome. I was in there sweating a little bit, but knew that, I talked to Seattle and I really liked them and thought they really liked me. So, it was really overwhelming, and I was just happy my family were all here and got to witness it.
Work in the middle of the field is a tough job. What do you like about being a slot receiver?
I mean, I like everything. First, I just like catching the ball and making plays, and being close to your quarterback and just having him know that you are reliable and it's going to get open for him. And I'm excited. I'm excited to go down there, with Gino and put on the show.
You've been part of a very talented trio of receivers in college. What are your thoughts of joining DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett here?
Super excited. Big fans of those guys. For me to be in that room, I know how I am. And that's just going to push me to, compete harder and find my way amongst those guys. So I'm looking forward to lining up next week.
What's your impressions of the Seahawks from afar?
I know it's hard-working, gritty team, and kind of the culture that Coach Pete Carroll was talking about. When we met, kind of fits who I am and my standards and what I believe in. So I think it's an awesome fit, awesome opportunity. I'm so excited. They called my name, and I know they won't regret it.
When was that meeting with Pete?
Pro Day, Ohio State Pro Day.
What has he told you, Carol, about your fit or possibly what they like on you?
Yeah, we definitely watch a lot of stuff in the slot and just having those options, just making the right reads. They think I'm a smart enough football player to to read the defense and react and make them pay, and just being a weapon for them. In the short game, long game, whatever they need to be.
You weren't able to be on the field very much last year, but what were you able to work on? Maybe that was identifying different routes or some of that recognition that you're talking about.
Most definitely. I got a, different feel, a different view, literally from, from the sideline, and just trying to pick up the game. It looked pretty slow out there in college my last year. And, unfortunately I wasn't able to play, but, just being a leader, just being in the room, supporting the guys, and, just trying to get back. And I know I'll be better for it.
What do you think you do best as a receiver?
I think I get open.
CJ Stroud said on record that you are the best route runner he's ever thrown to in his life. That's including some really good receivers. What is your philosophy about route running, and how do you think you run those routes so that he would say something like that?
Yes, sir. Just I would say my creativity, that I have. My mind is always working, and me being able to pick defense and making them pay for, either zone, finding the zone and man being your man, and that's what I do, and excited to do it at the highest level now.
You said you were sweating a little bit. Did you think you might go a little bit earlier? Or was that about when you thought you'd go, or?
Yeah, that's about, I knew that's about, where I thought I was gonna go. Around 10 to 20. That's what I was projecting.
Jackson, looking where your game is at right now, where do you want to improve the most coming to Seattle and playing against NFL competition?
Oh man, I can improve on, my whole skill set. I know, I'm not even close to where, I'm be here in the near future, and I'm sure, coach is gonna have some points for me to work on, and for me to be in that room and steal some stuff from the DK and all those guys. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so there it is, right there. That's
Mom,
where you
dad,
heard it from.
brother, maybe.
There you go. We had to cut it short, y'all. Got to go to the break in just a moment, but I'll give you some, some stats on him in terms of he's 6'1", 200 pounds, and he didn't play. He only played 3 games his senior year due to the hamstring injury. So, but obviously they feel Seahawks and all the tests and everything that he is good to go, if you will. But in 2021, he led Ohio State with school records of 95 receptions and 1,600 yards on a team that also had first-round draft picks, Garrett Wilson that year, who intended the Jets overall, and Chris Olave. So he's a sophomore, and these players have all these statistics. You know what I mean? They get drafted ahead of him, but he actually, as you can tell, he actually was the best receiver they had. And you heard Hugh Millen, that's our guy, asked a question. CJ Stroud was a quarterback, top quarterback, right? Picked, right? What? And he was said, hey, you know what? He's the best route runner. So we're going to go on break, but we'll wrap up there in terms of Jackson Smith-Njigba again. This guy is going to help the Seahawks offense by his ability. He's another Tyler Lockett. That's what you have. He's smart. He's quick. And to Kevin Beck's comment, he's quick, he's fast, and he's smart. So, all right. So that is, the first half hour is gone. I'm Seattle Mazvita Maraire on Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio World. All right. We'll be right back.
I'm Paul Pearson, host of Star Time, and when I'm not deep frying a turducken in a closed garage, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
May is here, and Rainier Avenue Radio.world will be celebrating Asian American, Pacific, and Hawaiian Islander Heritage Month all month long. Go to our website, www.rainieravenueradio.world, for the schedule of programs and special programs of interest to honor, celebrate the successes and achievements of Asian Americans during this Asian American, Pacific, and Hawaiian Islander Heritage Month.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. I'm Granville Emerson, along with my partner, Ronald Pepe Bean. And we host the show Little Line Sports right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, where we talk about football, basketball, local sports, national sports, Seahawks, UW, Seattle U Redhawks, Garfield Bulldogs, all that and more right here on Little Line Sports on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Rainier Avenue Radio presents All Music All Day Saturday. Music all day Saturday. This is Edwin Bailey, Bulldog Blue. Jazz from the Cabinets.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy.
Start Time.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Pierce.
This is Start Time. Saturdays, all music, all day. Reggae Hour. K-Fox Tonight.
Looking for the perfect beat? Yeah, it's the beat of the box.
Fresh Juice with D-Money in there.
Myself, D-Money. Nice Eyes Patron.
Taylor Hart.
This is Stencia, the Northwest Rap Gang.
DJ Medina. Chad Cheddar. Northwest Rat Gang.
Sergio Lacour's Love Line.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Go to the phone lines. Hello, who we talking?
Sea Monster Radio. Mo Jams. It's your jam.
We're live. Welcome to Mo Jam Mondays. This is KZ and PZ Music Media. Caller Goddess for Mo Jam Mondays.
Just my opinion. God is inspiration all day and all night. Saturdays on Rainier Avenue Radio App.
Do you have an idea for a community project in your neighborhood? You could be eligible for up to $50,000 in funding through the City of Seattle's Neighborhood Matching Fund. Grants are awarded to grassroots projects that build stronger communities, with an emphasis on projects led by impacting Black, Indigenous, and people of color BIPOC communities. To learn more about the Neighborhood Matching Fund or to see if your project meets the criteria, visit seattle.gov/neighborhoods/NMF.
Rainier Avenue Radio. Rainier Avenue Radio.
All right, we are back for the second half hour, if you will, the second half. Whoa. As I always like to say, we've done our halftime adjustment. So we're continuing, diving into the recapping crystal ball, the Seahawks draft picks. And so I will continue to tell you who I just had selected audio from two more of the players, just because I think it was really interesting. And but I'll go through all of them, obviously. The other pick here, which I really thought the Seahawks got right, was they got Derek Hall from Auburn, outside linebacker. And again, we'll go over this. They got the defensive lineman later in the draft, and that was really the surprise. But I think that Derek Hall is I don't say work in progress, but he can help on the team, just in terms of, where he's not ready to start is the long and short of it. And he's one of those players that you're looking for him to maybe contribute, make the roster as a linebacker. And he might start maybe by the end of the season, but he's going to play that outside linebacker, and he'll back up. The guy's 6'3", 252 pounds. And so you're looking at him really right now backing up Darrell Taylor. Now that, there's an opportunity there, but you just have to wonder, is he hesitating a little bit here just because I don't know if he has the speed that's there. But he was a 3-year starter, edge rusher, at Auburn, voted team captain. And he won what they call the Freddie Solomon Community Spirit Award. So, look, as I said, at 6'3", 256 pound, he can play. And the Seahawks are hoping that he can challenge Darrell Taylor. And he really kind of reminds you a little bit of Boe Mafe, the other player the Seahawks got last year, who came on towards the end of the season, and he backed up Uchenna Nwasu, who had an amazing year. So what you're hoping for is that Derek Hall, as the season goes on, right? He just becomes more polished player. And I think, I think it's a good pick in that regard. And that's what you're probably going to look at or get from Hall. You just, I never want to count anybody out. I think now the next pick they got, they nailed it. And I don't know how they did this, but the Seahawks were able to get Zach Charbonnet, running back from UCLA. And he's the real deal, right? He was Pac-10, all Pac-10, and his ability to hit the hole, get outside, and he runs straight up. That's the thing about Charbonnet. And it's this was just a brilliant pick to line him up. He's two-time all Pac-12 and All-American honors as a senior because of his ability to run and catch the ball. And you put him along with, you've got a two-back combination between Ken Walker III and Charbonnet. Now, he's an insurance policy, but the thing you got to understand about Pete Carroll and also his kind of philosophy and something that he never, let go left or, when he was at USC, Pete Carroll had the Thunder and Lightning. Remember Reggie Bush? And that was just in terms of, what Pete Carroll would like is a 1-2 combo. So, and when you have that, it gives you the ability to, right? They can't, Lendell White, right? And I was like, Lendell White and Reggie Bush, when they were there, it was just an amazing, because what you had was the Thunder, that would be Lendell White, and then you had the Lightning as in Reggie Bush. So the defenses couldn't really, if they stack the box, right, then you would have Bush go outside. So if they spread out, then you would hit him in the gut. And that's what you're seeing now. That's where this pick of Charbonnet comes in. Yeah, he will give Ken Walker a run for his money. It was interesting because Pete Carroll said, hey, you know what? He did call Ken Walker. He got a lot of his first year insight running of his players. He said, I called them to let them know, hey, we've drafted this guy. Now you got to be ready. On two accounts. You need to, they're gonna compete with you, but you also have to be ready so that you can help them. And that's that Pete Carroll-ism, if you will, right? He tells the guy, look, we love you. He's loving him up. You're our guy. But this person here, they're gonna make you a better player. And if, by the way, they take your spot or the competition, you guys share reps, it's okay. But that right there is actually the respect of why players like Pete Carroll, and then why you get Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. The other one we're going to talk about here, I'm going to go to Kenny McIntosh. It's another great pick, another running back. Now, some people say, oh, I went to the last. But all right, let me go in order. So after Charbonnet, round 4, the Seahawks picked Anthony Bradford, guard, LSU. He's got a chance. The guard situation is fleeting, right? You got Phil Haynes and you got Damian Lewis. So, Bradford could left guard behind D Lewis. And can he play his way up there? Is he that good? And a lot of the time I would look, hopefully he gets some rotational snaps, but look for him to make the difference next year. In round 4, their second, the Seahawks did get the defensive tackle that they wanted. That was Cameron Young from Mississippi State. And Pete Carroll said, hey, look, he is going to play nose tackle. It's a good pick. Just have to see, can he, Brian Monet, but he's injured. So, and he's expected to come back. If Cameron Young can push Monet and get you some critical snaps, because what the Seahawks like to do is like to rotate the D-line, pretty much most of the NFL. Those big bodies get tired on both sides. So Mike Morris is another one from Michigan. This was another good pick there by the Seahawks. I thought that, the guy can play and he'll give you rotational snaps there. And so where does he fit in? Remember, on the defensive end, the Seahawks brought in Draymond Jones. They signed him as a free agent out of Denver. So then you bring in Mike Morris. And you're hoping the two, Morris is polished from Michigan. He's ready to play. How much? That'll kind of really depend on him. But I think it was a really good pick in terms of that. Because he was a 3-year Letterman, 3-time All-Academic, and All-Big Ten. In 2020, last year, he was the Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Year. So he can play, and he was academic All-Big Ten. It's another good pick. The next pick the Seahawks made, I thought this one is one of those. They stayed in Michigan and they picked up Olu Olawatimi, center, 6'3", 307. Now, you got to remember, this was such an excellent pick because the Seahawks had Evan Brown. They brought him in. That move was necessitated by the retirement, right, of the previous center. So they brought in Evan Brown. Austin Blythe retires. Seahawks have nobody really at center. I mean, Joey Hunt's there, but he hasn't been able to break that. He didn't play that much last year. So you bring in Evan Brown, and I believe this is one of the best picks of the draft for the Seahawks. Well, they had a good draft class. So 22, he played in all 14 games. He was the Outland Trophy winner and the Remington Trophy winner. So what does that mean? So this is how good this guy is. He won the best lineman, offensive lineman Outland Trophy winner, and Remington Trophy winner, which is just the best lineman on either side. Because consensus first team All-American. Football Writers Association of All-American first team. I got to plug that in there because I vote on the Football Writers. So, plug that in there. Amazing. And I think he's the real deal. I think he'll be your number one starting center. Yeah, I'm calling it by game one. So, D Money, do we have the Olawatimi audio?
What's that like hearing your name called right after he got picked here?
It's awesome. Knowing I got a brother already that's there and a great player. So I'm really excited to get up to Seattle and roll.
You played at 3 different programs. Where do you feel like your game grew the most in your 1 year at Michigan?
I felt like my leadership and just my knowledge of the game. Just being able to play for Coach Moore and then play for Coach Harbaugh and be in the scheme. I felt like my knowledge of the game grew a lot.
How does Harbaugh's program in Michigan prepare you for all Michigan players for the NFL, do you think?
We run a pro-style scheme on both sides of the ball, and even some of our special teams that have pro schemes. And what we're taught during the week, how we prepare, and how we go about our business, I feel like it just translates very well to the NFL.
It might be trite or maybe cliche to say, but do you listen to a coach like Harbaugh and his staff that have been in the NFL more knowing they've been there?
Yeah, I feel like any coaching staff I have, I'm gonna have trust in them and I'm gonna listen to them. But it means a lot when it comes from a guy that's won at every level of college, as a player and as a coach, NFL as a player and as a coach. And he's seen the game, he's seen the guys that's at the next level. So it means a lot.
You were teammates with Joey Blunt at Virginia. Have you talked to him much about what it's like up here?
No, I mean, he FaceTimed me after I got picked, but, the family was going crazy. So, but I just said, what's up? We're going to tap in for sure later, but I'm excited.
What, if I may ask a personal question, what was the impact of the shooting, the killings at Virginia on that whole campus and you and the teammates? And we talked to Joey about that too.
I mean, it was a lot. It was my brothers. Those guys that I battled with in the off seasons and during the seasons, and we went through some hard things being at Virginia, and just seeing their life get taken so soon, it was hard. And I was far away from the team because I was playing at Michigan, and so it was rough, being away from my brothers, and also having to prepare and continue trying to.
There you go. We kind of want to cut that short because you got to hear the Kenny McIntosh interview. But, to go back in terms of what you have there, he's solid. I mean, you can hear how he sounds, is how he looks, and you saw some of the video. He is ready. He's plug and play. He's a grown man, as Pete Carroll and John Schneider said. So the Seahawks next, you got to hear this. Y'all just got to hear this. So after Oliver Tubby, the Seahawks picked up Jarek Reed, the second safety from New Mexico. Pretty good pick here. It's a surprise, a little bit. Like we're saying, well, wait a minute. As I said at the top there, your back end is already solid, right? In terms of your defensive backfield, your free safety. And with Quandre Diggs, and he talked about, you heard about Joey Blunt. And then remember, the Seahawks picked up strong safety Julian Love. So again, you were solid. So I think the guess here is Jarek Reed, the second, will play as the nickel corner. All right. The Seahawks' last pick, Kenny McIntosh. This guy's from Georgia. So obviously he is 6'1", 210. And he played in all 15 games. Last year started 14. He was Georgia's leading rusher. Tell me if you heard this before, right? With 829 yards, 150 carries. He was also the team's third leading receiver, 43 catches for 504 yards. One of 4 captains in the season opening win over number 11 Oregon. So there you go. All right. So we're going to play this audio. This will give you kind of an insight into, this means a lot to these players when they get drafted. So here's Kenny McIntosh with the media.
Kenny, how's it feel?
Shit, man, I've been waiting all day. I've been waiting all day. I'm lit, man. We can see how it feels.
Did you have any idea that the Seahawks were interested in you before getting that call?
Never. I always heard there's gonna be some team that never really talk to as much like that, but at least respect. But man, yes, I talked to them before, but I wasn't expecting them, to be honest. But let's do it.
Who's there with you to enjoy this moment? Who's around you?
You said who around me? My family, man. My whole family. We all been sitting waiting, not just me. We all been sitting waiting.
What was it like when you finally got the call from the Seahawks here?
Man, I was upstairs already, man, like going through it already, waiting for my name to be called. So when they called me, I was on the phone with my agent talking about free agency. And then they called me, man, in the middle of the call, my agent. And then I said, hold on, man, I got a call. And they called me and said they're going to take me 237. So, shit.
What was your
That's what they did.
Sorry.
Say that again?
What was your expectation coming into this weekend?
I think I did everything I needed to do in the field. I mean, I know I had a bad study. I mean, yeah, they hope that don't run the best a lot. You feel me? But I didn't think I was going to go this low. I know they dropped me down a lot, but this low, that's crazy. But that's just giving me a chip on my shoulder to go out there and work harder.
So does it feel like? Sorry, I keep cutting you off. I'm very sorry.
You good? So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Does it feel like you have something to prove more than you
definitely got something to prove, man. I've been feeling like this is like got to college. Going to Georgia, I had something to prove, man. This ain't nothing new, you know. So let's bring it on. I'm just ready for the challenge. I'm just thank God I got drafted, man. I ain't have to go free agent route, you know what I'm saying? So thank God I got drafted, and I'm gonna go prove. I'm gonna prove my point like I did at Georgia, man. The same thing. You know, it might take time, but I'm gonna prove my point for sure. Definitely, they gonna know who Kenny Mayfield is.
I know you had to wait a while, longer than you thought you were going to, but you're going to a team that loves to run the football. How would you describe your running style coming to the Seahawks?
Man, versatile, can do it all. Make you miss, run through you, catch the ball, line up. Whatever you want to run it back, man. What you mean? Whatever you want to run it back, I got it. Outside zone, we gonna run it outside, we gonna run it at the cut, whatever you want to do. You tell me, OC, come on. Right. I'm used to this, man. Come on, man. With the Georgia, we used to this pro style offense, man. Whatever you want to do, come on. Line me up outside, let's do it, man. Come on. What you talking about?
Kenny, what do you think's made you so good as a pass catcher?
Man, linebackers don't want to cover me, man. They scared to go out there on that island. That's what it is. They don't want to cover me, man. They don't want to cover no running back out there like that. That's why. You feel me? As soon as they get their feet started, it's over with. You know what I'm saying? That's why they don't want. They scared to go out there on that island, but it's up. And even if I catch them in running a choice route, while they suck, they scared. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't got no right. It's over with.
Sounds like
one.
Sounds like you're a pretty passionate person. Is that an accurate description?
Man, yes, I'm confident. What you think I went to Georgia for? Come on, man. I'm from South Florida. I gotta have confidence down here, man. I'm a South Florida player. I'm a Florida baby. You hear me? That's all we got down here. And I'm ready to get it. What's up?
Is your brother Dion with you? And has he told you anything about the state of Washington?
Yeah, he's right here. You want to talk to him? Let's talk to Dion.
No, we good.
Hold on, we're gonna talk to Dion so y'all ain't want to drop Dion.
He done did it now.
Dion. Don't ask me why they ain't drop you either. These are Seahawks. I don't care about this. Damn, my brother. Yeah, my brother. What's up, man? What's up, Cole? Yeah, that way. Cole, what's up?
How many people are with you?
We got the whole fam over here.
No, we don't want to talk to him. Just ask him. Just ask him.
Oh, man. We were just talking about Washington. I just came from right there. That's crazy.
What were you doing out in Washington? What were you doing up here?
You know, I was with WSU.
Okay.
Kenny, what the Seahawks? Kenny, what did the Seahawks tell you when they called? Was it Schneider who called? Carroll who talked to you?
I think it was the first thing you said. Yeah.
What did they tell you?
Damn, that was a minute ago. I'm not sure, but they was fighting with me because I know that at the same time they were talking about Liam and Abe at the same time. So I know the boy was fighting with me. Hello.
Hey, Kenny, what do you like to do outside of football?
Hello, what you say?
What do you like to do outside of football?
Say happy birthday, my old boy. You hear me?
Happy birthday.
What'd you say?
Happy birthday to your friend, but what do you like to do outside of football?
That's the media for those, man. Hello.
We can come back to that one later.
Somebody gonna love me out there. I know it. Hello.
He was ready for you.
I appreciate y'all, man. I'm gonna
Thank you.
Kenny, we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
All right, there you go. Now, isn't that a treat? That just really, really, I can't wait to see him. That's for sure. D Money showed you some highlights there, and it's interesting because at times you forget what it means to these players playing in the NFL to be drafted, and that just brought joy to all of us, and in the room, and yeah, I mean, when players get drafted, it's a big deal. It is a big deal, and it means something to them, despite some of the desensitization, dehumanization of these players. Nah, it's a big deal. They work hard, they play hard. So, man, oh man. So I've just got about 2 minutes, and we didn't even get to half of what we have to go. So I'm gonna do wrap around for you in terms of the other sports. As I said, the Kraken play tonight, game 2 against the Dallas. 1 minute. Oh Lord. Yep. They won game 1, 5-4 over the Dallas North Stars. So today the game's on at 6:30. And the Seattle Storm, we will have to play that the audio for you later. We're able to sit down with Kia Nurse. Amazing. She is there to help the Storm, who need a lot of help, right? Because they really have Ezzy, Magbor, Mercedes Russell, and Jewel Lloyd. That's all they have. And Kia Nurse, she played 4 years at UConn. So they have the Storm. Preseason game will be on Tuesday. So that means next week we'll have more audio and exclusive interview for you. Sounders, they host the first in the Western Conference. And so the Sounders play again this Saturday. And Sporting Kansas City, who hasn't won a game all year. So you're hoping the Sounders last game, they tied, right? FC Dallas 0-0, but as I said, they stayed atop of the Western Conference. Big game for them. Sounders need to score. Sporting KC's given up 15 goals. So it's a big game for the Sounders to kind of get right. So that kind of gives you, hey, tonight watch, you can watch a Mariner game right now. Then 6:30, you can go ahead and watch the Kraken. And then Friday, Mariners return home, 3 games against Houston. And so if you can get out, that team, Houston, and then get yourself out there to the Sounders game on Sunday against Sporting KC. That'll do it for Seattle Sports Weekly. I'm Mazvita Maraire, and this will be the new format that we're just going to take you around in-depth analysis of Seattle sports. Or not. So with that, thank you, D Money. Thank you all for listening and watching. I'm Mazvita Maraire.